Yo.
Welcome to Radio Melee. What is up, everybody? How's everybody doing? We got a
Seriously.
very special guest.
Go.
Woo! What's up, Brandon?
Hello. Hey, how are you guys?
Good, man.
Toph and PPMD. I was just saying how we haven't talked, like me and PB have not talked in God knows how long.
It's been too long, man. Been too long. I'm real glad you're here, man. What an absolute hero, absolute legend in the community. Honored to have you with us today.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So before we get into it, talking about whatever, I mean, I'm stoked to be talking to Brandon. But before we get into that, I just want to make sure that you all out there know that if you are in either one of mine or Toph's Twitch chats, please use !Radio Melee to follow the instructions, join the Discord server, and go to the Submit Topics channel to submit your questions that you can call in with, and it'll be straightforward from there. But anyway, how you doing today, Brandon? And how'd you like watching SCL, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. SCL was nice. His Mother's Day. My birthday was actually that day. So
no way.
Cool.
Birthday. Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday. Yeah. So
Brandon. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was Mother's Day stuff, and then I just chilled and watched the event. So I had a lot of fun watching. What was a good set? Mango Wizzy. I thought that set was crazy.
That was a close one. Yeah,
that might have been set of the tournament.
What else was another? Johnny and IBW. That was also crazy. I was like, damn. So
I like Zach Wizzy too.
Oh yeah, Zach Wizzy. Zach dancing.
Zach
loved it. I was happy for him, and then I was just like this, but I was happy for him. So I'm just like, I don't know whether to shake my head.
You didn't approve, huh? He didn't have the moves. You didn't think,
Zach with the dance moves. I don't know, man.
Yeah. We had him on the show earlier today. In fact, I was talking.
I love Zach. I always root for Zach. Man. This is one of my favorite people, just period. So
absolutely. Cool. I also want to take this opportunity formally to congratulate you, by the way, Beastcoast. Which is really tight.
That is absolutely fantastic, man. And how does that feel? I mean, you've been an absolute pillar of the community for over 10 years now, finally getting sponsored. I am beyond thrilled to see it happening. How is it for you, man?
Well, first, I appreciate that. All the love and support I've been getting. It's kind of wild. It's interesting. I never thought I would get sponsored. No lie. I never thought that would happen. And sometimes I was like, man, it'd be cool. But then I've just kind of accepted fate. Like, well, it's probably not going to happen. So I'm just going to keep doing my thing. And I feel like when you kind of have that energy, like, it's like the situation kind of comes to you. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, as opposed to me just trying to look for a sponsor or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was cool, man. I feel like with Beastcoast, they really like good people. And I really feel like they have like my best interest there, and I'm happy. I'm really blessed, man. Like I said, I don't know if you guys went there when I announced it, but in my life, I feel like I've worked a lot harder for way less in my life. So it's cool to be able to just do what I'm doing and get sponsored for it. It's kind of it's crazy. It's actually crazy to me.
Yeah,
so I'm blessed, and I'm glad the communities just always supported me and my endeavors too. So thank everybody who, I don't know. So without people, obviously it just wouldn't work. So I'm super blessed about it for sure.
Absolutely, man. I mean go ahead, Toph.
I was just gonna say that's how I felt with Golden Guardians too. Like just kind of the way it worked out, and I had the same sentiment with the Golden Guardians folks. I was like, yeah, these guys really get it. These guys really like everyone I talked to on the team, Crystal with the graphics, which we were talking about before we went live, how Crystal's knocked out of the park. And Q behind the scenes running the stream, of course. All the people on the social side of things. Shout out to Zeke, the man. And that's the guy that runs the Golden Guardians Twitter account, which is hot new shit posts every day. I think everyone at this point has been like, wow, the Golden Guardians Twitter account really does just fucking post melee memes all day. And it's great. And I really like I just really like feel like Melee's in a good spot right now with kind of how teams have been investing in people and how the people involved have been really cool. So really happy about that.
For sure, man. It's cool to see. It's like everybody it's getting sponsored. It's kind of wild to me, is I just never thought something like that would even be an idea, let alone. I mean, just I think that about a lot of things in Melee right now. Obviously, just being able to play online. That's crazy to me too.
That's crazy too.
Yeah, but just all of it, just what the whole, I guess, the esports realm of it it's cool to be able to see people be able to, really like make a living doing this and just being them too.
Yeah. I mean, I love scenarios where everyone wins, man. And I think, orgs are realizing that this is something that can happen more now.
Yeah, it's
definitely.
It's sick, man. It's a cool opportunity. Man. Definitely grateful for sure.
Yeah, and I just want to take a moment before we get into the questions. I really just want to let people know. I think so many people, when they talk about what Brandon's done for the community, Brandon being Homemade Waffles here, YungWaff on the screen, I think so many people what they talk about is, oh, he started hosting tournaments when the pandemic started, and he saved Melee, and that is true. He did. That is the true thing that I think people. I love people say that, but that's not always my first thought. I mean, at this point, it almost seems like a given that you're just going to rise up when the community needs you most, Brandon. But what my memory is the Waffle 77 YouTube channel and the commentary, how you through your own hype, through your own efforts, shaped so much of the community culture and the way we talked and the way we thought and the players we liked and the content we consumed. I mean, you were one of the main voices, if not the main voice, in Wombo Combo. I mean, come on, man. Absolutely iconic human being. So many people talk about the modern things you do, and I'm certainly glad for that. But I mean, it's been over time. It's been years of it, and so like you getting sponsored. I mean, what you're saying about doing all that work, I think, is absolutely true, and I'm really glad that it's rewarded. And so I really want people to take this moment to really appreciate you, that you stuck around, and it's all and things have gotten better for you. So I'm really happy for that, man.
Love, man. I really do appreciate that. Like I was saying, I've just, been through a lot. I don't think I've had like I feel like a lot of Melee players, the traditional route with a lot of them is either, you go to school, and from there you get a job, right? And I feel like my path kind of wasn't like that. I would just be working double shifts here, random jobs here, living in this random place. So the fact that the community helped me like not have to really worry about that.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's such a blessing, especially compared to just what I mean, Toph, I remember Toph came to my house one time and it's just like smack dab in the hood. Like Toph just pulled up and it's just like it was just like that for a while at one point. And then eventually things just got better,
I remember the Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, man. I would go to a tournament. And then just right after, from 6 to 2, I'd have to go work for like 8-9 hours. I never forget NCR. I got 9th, and I was debating because my shift was coming up. It was like one of my last shifts too. I was like, yo, like I had to play fly. I'm like, dude, if I get top 8, I don't know if I'm gonna make my shift. Right? And then like I had this problem. This has happened a couple times, and then I lost a set, and I was like, all right, like I guess the plus is I can still go to work. Right. So I went to work, and like that was like common. That was common. There would be times where like I would be in bracket, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta like DQ or I just wouldn't go because I remember that tournament, the Deep, with the one Bobby won, or all those crazy Santa Cruz tournaments that everyone would go to. Like I couldn't go because it was too far, and I'd have to work, and just not having to worry about that is nice. Or what was the other tournament? The Bazaar, the law firm tournament.
Right. Yes.
I remember I got off. I was working for I was doing like 2-3 jobs at the time, right? And I was working at FedEx, Dave and Buster's, and for the Oakland A's. The A's was seasonal because it was it was like home
depends
games. Right. So if they're on the road, I wouldn't be working, but they were at home, so I get off, and it's like super dead. The A's are destroying the other team. They're like, okay, you can go home. I'm like, all right, cool. So I was like, well, man, I did not expect this. So I called Biz. I was like, yo, can I still enter this tournament? He's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm not in my suit. Like the thing for entry,
there
you
was a
had
dress code.
yeah,
Yes.
you had to be at a dress code. I'm in like all black. I'm like, dude, I don't have. Like I can't afford to go home and come back. He's like, no, just you're good, just come. And then I show up and just like a all black outfit and enter the tournament. It was funny, but that was like mad common. That was super common. So now just knowing that like, I could just I
you
could
just focus
feel,
on it.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's really dope.
Such a good feeling too. It's just a relief.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yo, you guys too, man. I see this podcast, the Golden Guardian stuff, man. Yeah, Golden Guardians is sick, man.
Dude, I realized it's crazy for me because we're gonna get into the caller questions in just a second, but I was just gonna finish this thought by saying you mentioned the A's, and I was thinking about it. It's just crazy for me because everybody else in the squad, most everyone's outside of NorCal, but like I'm NorCal, and so for me, there's like an extra special like. Because I actually, the day that they put us on the freaking Chase Center, and I drove to the Chase Center, and I was like, dude, I gotta see this. Right. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And someone who was there was like, hey, that's you. I was like, yeah. That's I was like, yeah, because I was trying to take a photo. And I was just like, man, that is really cool because it's just like it's like it's local. It's the Golden State Warriors. You know what I mean? That's
so wild to me, man. As a Warrior enthusiast.
Right.
Pretty much my whole life, most of my life. It's crazy seeing that like they're sponsored like my friends. That's wild.
Right. It's like what the fuck? It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I go to your house, man. Me and Julie, Simon, we talk about, all right, this is before the Warriors are good. We're like, yo, how can the Warriors make the playoffs this year? Okay. We got X, Y, Z pieces. And so it's just crazy to see not only just the Warriors trajectory as a team, just in a world culture as a whole, but then for them to be able to go into not even just esports, but just Melee in particular.
Melee, yeah.
And get crazy. You guys, it's wild, man. Small world, dude. That's small fucking world. It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane. All right, we're gonna start bringing on some of the callers because we're seeing some of you guys, and some of you guys have already dropped some pretty good questions in the Discord. You can ask us about anything. You can ask us about current events, obviously SEL this past weekend. Ask Brad about Rollback Rumble, the big one, which we will plug later. That is going to be the last Summit qualifier. I see some people asking some questions about who might make it into Summit, who might win that last chance qualifier spot via Rollback Rumble, the big one. So you can direct the questions at any of us, all of us, or one of us in particular. And I think we just about have our first caller ready to join. So what is up? What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Hey Tilf. I'm Speedy Sloth. That's my tag. I'm calling in from Maryland here, MDVA. So shout outs, represent Zane. Yeah. So
it's a good player.
yeah, known very good player. But yeah, I just want to say first off, thank you guys for having me on, and just thank you guys for everything you guys are doing for the community. It's really great. Especially WAF. I know you guys were talking about all the archival footage. It's so great to like go on YouTube and look at all the old sets and stuff. Especially like someone who was like has gone into the scene recently. But anyway, on to the question. This is kind of like a half hot take, half like actual question. Is like I'll start off with the question first. Is that where do you think like Falco is in the current meta? Because I believe from the thing, I believe from the recent PG stats tier list, he was placed 4th, dropping down below Puff. And I know that I disagree. I do think he is a bit lower, but I would like to see, both PP and WAF, probably two of the most legendary like Falco players like in history. So what do you guys think about it? Obviously a lot more experience than I am, so you guys can go ahead.
And sure. And before we get into that real quick, what is your take? Where would you
that was my question.
I am not a Falco player, but I do think that I do think that Falco is probably 6. I think there's going to be an argument, but compared to like how much, like I feel like all of the top tiers have like grab games, like Falcon, Peach, like all of those guys. Falco seems like the only one to not have a very like consistent grab game. He's also probably one of the slowest ones, like top tiers, like in terms of both jump squat and running speed and stuff like that. And he seems to, a lot of the matchups, like his only like comfy matchup is like Falcon, but besides that, he's pretty much just even or just kind of slightly below everyone else. And I feel like someone with Falcon, which I would place above Falco, just seems to have a bit more like potential, I think. Obviously, the idea of like 4 players now and like the top 15, top 20 arguably is obviously a great stat. But even then, I think in terms of matchup chart, I feel like Falcon has a lot more to progress. But I would like to hear what you guys think.
Oh, I'll let the god have the floor first.
Yeah, let's start with PP.
Okay,
Got to start with PP.
So, I mean, I don't mind sharing. I guess the only thing is I wanna make sure that I don't overdo it. So I'll give a brief overview, give enough for you guys to respond to, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I think your 4 main points, if I understand correctly, were weak grab game. He's slow. His only company matchup is Falcon. You think Falcon overall has a better matchup spread? Is that correct?
Agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I will take that one at a time, and again, I will try not to ball hog this one. So grab game, first of all, I would say, I mean, yeah, he doesn't have so much guaranteed. I think if you're gonna get, like, there are certain percent dependent things. Some of it works a lot better if you surprise your opponent, and I think that's kind of the nature of Falco as a character. Is like he doesn't get a lot that's necessarily guaranteed, but he gets like really good pressure and control. And if you're able to play decent mix-ups, then you're still going to get pretty good damage. And like the other thing is like something that Ginger's been talking about some recently is, for example, forward throw knockdowns on a lot of characters or combos that are guaranteed, such as on Marth, like forward throw dash attack, things like that. Like there are all kinds of things that Falco can do at certain positions, certain percents, and sometimes just it doesn't really matter if you get a combo. If you're throwing the other person off the stage, if you're at the edge, that's just going to be good. Then it's about your ability to edge guard. Grab makes no difference. The fact of the matter is that like grab is confusing for a lot of people to deal with because you don't know if that grab's coming, and if you are able to get something good out of grab, people want to stop shielding, then it opens up your other stronger things. But I understand that may not seem as interesting up front, but I also think things like up throw let people jump away and then they don't have a jump and then you can mess them up, can actually give you more reward than other characters sometimes. Anyway, not gonna ball hog. So his slowness mitigated in part by having some okay range on things like back air. Also, his laser is going to give him frame advantage against people. Either they move to avoid it or they take the hit. Regardless, he's going to get some frame advantage, especially if the laser's lower. There are some things you can't really deny with that. For example, someone on a platform, Falco has to go higher up to shoot a laser, so you could argue he loses some, but it makes things a little more complicated. So I wouldn't say he necessarily, like, there are times, especially if he's off balance, where the slowness really hurts him, but then there are times where he's closer with the laser out, where he's just basically much faster. So you can argue it either way, I think.
PP, I remember when I was watching the more recent Samox doc, the metagame, and I thought it was a cool quote, but you were like, I need a longer dash.
Yes.
And then that was the whole bar thing. Remember that?
Okay, I still say that on stream sometime. When I dash back and I get peach fared, I'm like, man, if I was Marth, I'd have dodged that.
So what you just said, using the lasers to mitigate the fact that Falco is kind of a poor dash, definitely.
Yes.
Is there a reason that in that moment or in some moments you would really rather just have a better dash versus using laser or whatever?
So there's actually a blessing and a curse to the smaller dash, which is something I didn't talk about. But the downside of it, of course, is that you don't go as far. Like if you want to reposition really quickly, the dash just doesn't get you there quickly enough. You're probably still going to get hit by a lot of moves. That sucks. The upside actually is that it repositions you a really nice amount for you to be able to counter hit people if like they barely miss. And for some for some dashes, particularly foxes, I find, and somewhat falcons, you can sometimes just go too far if you do like a full one to get a punish. And so like there's a whole lot of like really precisely hitting the control stick and things like that. You just don't have to worry about that as Falco. Yeah, so then the other stuff is about Falcon basically. So yeah, I mean, if you want, to put a point in your favor, right? Like Mango just started losing to Falcon, so obviously the end is near. Falco turning into the 9th best character in the game, right? I guess I won't. I certainly can't dispute that. But we'll talk about Falcon over Falco, and I feel like that matchup's still going to be hard for Falcon. I feel like I think a lot of players are also kind of learning how to play around Mango, and he's going to exploit some Falco things, but not others. So I think like a more well-rounded Falco pool is going to give the Falcons a harder time. And let's see, what else can I say? So I mean, Falcon is rising up. That's true. It's kind of like the same thing where you could say like, oh well, Sheik hasn't won a tournament since like Captain Jack. So is Sheik like 9th or whatever behind all the characters that did? And I don't really think that's true. So it's one of those things where it's kind of just like a weird player culture quirk in my view. And I guess like I could talk about things like how Falcon has a hard time approaching. He has a hard time locking down. Falco has a real projectile. Falcon has constant hitboxes to approach with, where Falcon has a knee that hits above him. Nair that can only really do well when it's fully spaced, whereas Falco's Nair doesn't care. Things like that. I mean, not having to do reads or things like that for punish game where Falco doesn't really have to do that. Although a little bit with SDI, but not to the same extent at all. And again, trying not to ball hog. So that's the best I can give you for what I have to say. What do any of you guys have to really say about that?
I guess I'll go. I guess so. Speedy, you said that you think Falco's 6th, pretty much. And like, what do we think about like if Falco is he like falling off per se? Is that what you're?
Yeah, I guess like I guess you could say that, or like. Where do you think his place in the meta is now? Because just a quick counter to PB, I definitely agree with you there that like I feel like Mango, you were talking about like, oh, Sheik obviously like just because he hasn't won a major doesn't mean like he hasn't done it. But I think a lot of that it can be caught up to the fact that a lot of them like best Sheiks like solo Sheik mains, I guess, aren't as high. Like you think of Sheik, you think of like Plup and Mutaking, right? Both of those guys have counter picks. I think it's arguable whether like Plup would have been able to win a major without the Fox. He's been H-Fox with it before, but I feel like when you're looking at tier lists, right, you have to think of their potential. Like I feel like it's pretty obvious that Sheik obviously has the potential to win like a major, super major. And I think, right, like, do you think Falco's potential matches up to, I guess, the other characters in that top tier?
Performance. I guess for me, I think Falco's potential is probably better than his actual performance as a character. For me personally, I think Falco's very like the better you get, the more counterintuitive the character gets. So in a lot of aspects, I think he's like in ways he can be worse, but in ways like he can be better. Because sometimes like I'll watch Falco and I'm kind of with you, Speedy. I'll be like, man, like Falco's just like gotta be like 6 or 7. But then there's times I watch Falco and I'm like, dude, this character looks like it could be best or second best, like easy, And
yeah,
I think the hard thing is to consistently be able to pull that part of Falco out and have it on display regularly. A lot of the times it's just, we'll see Falco lose and won't be like, man, the character's bad, right? I think that's the one character that gets that the most. But I think the upside is that he can hit you from anywhere on the screen, no matter the situation, whether you're in the air, on the ground, he could probably hit you. Most likely, his full hop can go to top platform. Like he does have good combo routes and extensions, but then that's where I like kind of seesaw because like I'm with you in the aspect like okay, well, he can just get blown up. Sometimes I think he's easier to combo than Fox in a lot of ways because the recovery and stuff. But yeah, I think Falco somewhere. I don't know if he's necessarily worse than Falcon. I think at peak Falco's like really really good, but I think like on a human scale, I do think like where I'm with you is the aspect of because a lot of people will be like, well, if you just play good or if you do it like this, then for example, using PP here, well, if you just do like what PP does, then it's all good, right? But it's like, yo, he's like the exception, like
right.
The rule is every Falco that you see in unranked just getting chalked by every move ever, So it's just like if anything. And it's kind of, I guess it's like, what's the word? What's the phrase? Like the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like where do you really get Falco's like feedback from? Do you get it from watching Mango or PP or Ginger or West or somebody like that,
right?
Or every Falco you see? Because on average, this is actually what's happening. Like these 100 Falcos that died for this one Falco to show you how good they're doing.
I'll definitely say I agree with you on that, Brandon. If your metric is the unranked Falco experience, is the round 1 and 2 pools Falco experience, that character probably is like 7th or something. Yeah, sure. If that's your bar, yeah, I'm with you.
Then, like I said, you have people like you, Mango, stuff like that, right? So and some people most people I would say value that more because it's just like, well, that's like this is the peak that we got right now. So if we go off that, I don't know. I still think Falco's like pretty good if we're going off that metric. But I do think that there is sometimes where it's just like, man, I can see why people think Falco's like struggling.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. You watch Falco's play. I mean, with the exception of Mango for real. And like Ginger, every Falco I see playing Marth, it's just like a struggle, man. Like, so it's just like, I can see why people think that. But at the same time, I do think, for the times that Falco gets it right, it's like, man, he could look unbeatable sometimes. Sometimes people think that it's worse. Like Falco's better than Fox in a lot of those situations. So.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell. I wish I could really give you a clear answer, but for me, it's like I'm somewhere in the middle with it. So I think there are aspects like I'd be lying if I thought that like Falcon is that bad because I actually don't think it's that bad for Falcon. However, you see stuff like Falco Marth, and I'm the same way. I feel like it's not that bad for Falco either. I think Falco's a real like. He's a character that really puts like people's habits and situations on display, and if you mess up in that regard, you're just gonna get killed for it. So
he can exploit bad habits really hard for sure.
Yeah, more so than like a lot of the characters with grabs, right? Because like you said, like a lot of the characters have a grab game, right? But imagine. I dare you tech away. I read that tech and just dare you again. Like most characters can't follow up like tech chase with aerials. Like, I mean, sometimes Falcon could do that, but I don't know. Falco is just different because he could literally combo you 0 to death, like on the whole cast damn near. Right. That's crazy.
I think Falco's an interesting case for sure. I think the way I think about, I'm pretty much with Brand on this one. I mean, I think we're all pretty much in agreement. I just think the character, he's bad at a lot of the things the other top tiers are good at, but he also has some unique strengths. And I think that's why it feels like it's like, his dash sucks, his grab game is kind of just not as flowcharty as the rest of the top tiers. But what he's good at, he's so good at. And I think you can't play him the net play Falco way, like the way people play him, where they just kind of like spam up tilt and whatever moves like that.
Back there, laser.
Once you learn how to play around that, I mean, it's just so you're never going to get anywhere. And I think the character has to be aggressive. Mango shows, when if you could stay on top of somebody, you just get to be. It feels like you can be an advantageous like the advantage state forever. Like there are stocks you'll watch Mango play where he's just on top of somebody and they cannot get out. Period. And if you can, I think you have to play to that extent. You can't sit back with the character. You can't really. I think you have to get a little bit of a read on your opponent. But if you're able to do that, he can really play to your strengths. So yeah, I think he's weird to talk about on the tier list. I think it's a weird because it's like it is hard to put a number to it in some ways because his strengths are so different from the rest of the top tiers.
Yeah.
Before I throw it back to you, real quick, Speedy, I'm reminded a little bit, talking about all this stuff. I mean, I'm reminded of Falco with a laser out and Falco without a laser out, almost being two different characters. Falco with a laser out, very oppressive, very strong, able to act before a lot of other characters. Falco without one, he's a slow boy. His goose gets cooked a lot of the time. What's he gonna do? Full hop? Okay, everyone knows he's gonna do that. What else is he gonna do? YOLO dare? Nope. I mean, it's a difficult situation, and I think so many people they feel that momentum shift so many times, and they're not able to really figure out how to get that back. And I think that can be a real difficult thing. And you could say, oh, well, maybe it's not something that you can hold. Maybe it's not something that can always be there. And I guess maybe that's true in a way. And that's kind of why Falco is really interesting, is because, you know, I think something that Mango does really well actually is he takes those moments where he should be really disadvantaged in a Falco sense, and he finds a way to turn it back into an advantage for him or make the other person uncertain. And I think that's really hard to do. So, and like you can say, oh, that's just Mango, but like Mango is still playing Falco. Like if it wasn't possible for Falco, he wouldn't be able to do it. So
it's like the Xamor thing.
Yeah, so that is something a little bit extra to add and to flesh out kind of what Brandon was saying. I still kind of laughing in my head a little bit about watching the Falcos get chopped. It was a great way to describe it. There's the birds getting all cooked up, man. But yeah, I mean, question. Yeah, does that, I guess, like with the, I don't know how much time we got left for this one, but that mostly answer, or at least a somewhat satisfying response, even if perhaps not a convincing one?
Oh, yeah. I did have one other point to make, but if we're over on time, then I can then I don't want to take too much of the melee. I'm sure there's a lot of awesome other questions that are coming in. So yeah, I mean, if I can respond if you want me, if you guys think I have time, but
Toph, I don't know what
you could drop your last you could drop your last take or whatever and any shout outs you might have as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I think the point you were making about I remember I was actually watching Scar and Toph show, shout out, earlier today, and you're talking with Zach about like old players versus new players, and like how older players usually like are like more playing melee than they are playing the character, that kind of thing, right? Or it's more like kind of like you play the person versus playing the character, like that kind of thing. I think like when you look at like someone like Mango or really any like of those old players like yourself, PP, in terms of rating the character, it's tough because you could almost make the argument that it's very kind of likely that any of those players like could do extremely well with another character.
Oh, bro, I'm about to change Sheik. I'm changing Sheik, bro. Sheik no longer ninth. Let's go, baby.
Let's go, baby. The thing, but if we're talking about more like players, when you think of the character, like solo mains, I guess you think of solo main. Like obviously, there's a bunch of solo main foxes, and there has been a while. Sheikzer has been like Swedish and whatnot. It kind of Peaches. There's been like Bladewise, Keizu, Polish, like all in there. But Falco's like you have West Balls, Ginger. Santi was like top 50 for a little bit, and
Albert,
Bobby,
Magi,
now, but I guess in past, I guess.
Well, I think on that note, honestly, a lot of it is not only would this is this character able to be played at that level as a solo main. I think with Falco, there's this extra factor of like, if you can play Falco, you can already kind of play Fox because they're so similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like if there was a Puff clone, right? Yeah. I think Puff players would play like that was really good at the Fox matchup.
Yeah.
I think the Puff players would co-main that character. If there was a Marth, well, there's Roy. If Roy was better and Roy was really good at the Sheik matchup, I think the Marth players would play that character. So I think with Falco, there's just the factor of like, well, if you could play Falco, you could already kind of play Fox. They're so similar, they're clones, right? Yeah. So I think that's kind of the reason why for a long time a lot of Falco players would they play Fox for floaties because they're like, well, I can already pretty much do it. It's not very. I think that's a lot of it too. It's not just is this character bad enough that he needs bad enough matchups that he needs another co-main. I think it's part of it is just you can, and if you can, then why not? So I think there's multiple things going on here. But anyway, thank you for the question. That's a really great question. I know we did kind of spend a bit of time on it, but it's an interesting question for sure. I like talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any shout outs?
Thank you guys for having me on. I just want to make a quick shout out. I only have one, just to Intercollegiate Slippy. I've been working with them for a little bit. I know Tofu talked about it for a little bit, but it's like essentially if you know what excuse me, I'm missing the
melee games.
Yeah, the melee game. So it is collegiate crew battles, and they've been going on for like so they've been going on for super long, but we now are going into the finals right now. So the finals are happening are June 25th. We have like draft queues and seating, and we do like daily like matches like almost like every day, like
really.
So oh yeah, I mean, because we have like, if you look at the schedule, we have like 6-7 matches like every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. like we've been kind of going off of whether they're streamed or not, but still it's been super awesome. We have a ton of different things. I can try and get
I need to talk to y'all. Yeah, I'm very interested in that. I've been meaning to do a proper video on it for a while because I really want to cut that out. I think that's how I got into the game. I got in as me and Vish at the University of Washington, and we were like, let's go do crew battles, blah blah blah. So I have a soft spot in my heart for that sort of thing. I really want to plug that. That's and for all you college kids out there, you should look into that.
So I was thinking, like, when does the final for that take place?
That takes place June 25th. 25th through the 27th, I believe.
Oh dang. Okay. Because I was like, man, it'd be cool to put that on the big one, bro.
Yeah,
but I don't know, like, how
you guys
works. Yeah, but I'm down to like talk and whatnot.
I'm not the guy to talk to. The person to talk to is another shout out is Lucky Luxtronic 9. He does like everything. Like I am here and I did a little bit of scheduling and some commentating. He's like the mastermind of all this. So I could send you his contact info, but
do that.
And one other thing, we have a lot of great colleges and a lot of great players. We've had Keizu play. We've had Morse Code, Violence. Yeah, a lot of amazing players. There's so many great players and matches, and it's been super, super fun. So yeah, just check that out. But I mean, that's it. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really great to talk to you guys.
Thank you.
Great to talk to you, man. Nice to meet you, man. Send me that info.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
For sure. All right.
Yeah, definitely want to look into that. I want to if there's any way Golden Guardians 2 can help plug that somehow, that'd be dope. I think that's like a wonderful way. I've been thinking about ways to get people into Melee. Like we should definitely be supporting that because that's a really cool initiative.
You think Zeke can take time out of posting memes on the Twitter to plug that? I don't know. He's a busy guy.
He's a busy guy. I mean, they are some great memes.
They are some pretty good ones.
I'm probably gonna do a video on that. Maybe this week or this next week now that SCL's over. So hopefully, if you guys are on my YouTube channel, you guys can see. I'll try to put out as much information as possible because it would be cool to integrate with one of the big boys. Could be Rollback Rumble, the big one. Maybe even get that on BTS Smash. But anyways, that's pretty cool. All right, I think we're about ready to have our next caller on.
Okay.
What is up?
TBR.
Hello.
42.
TBR. Can't hear you. There, hello. We can hear you now.
How's it going?
How's it going?
It's going good. Yeah. So I'm TBR. I'm from Boise, Idaho. And my question was, what effect did Nintendo's lack of support influence where we are now, and how, if at all, would you like to change it?
What affected? So wait, is your question basically why do you feel Nintendo hasn't invested more into the Melee scene?
No, like how, because they did not support Melee, how it put us where we are now.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's some, there's negatives, right? Like I think that, with, you look at a lot of the colossal esports, and there's a lot of, developer integration, you look at League of Legends, right? There's the LCS, Overwatch League, stuff like that, right? And there's nothing like that right now with Melee because, there's no governing body, right? It's just us. Now, on the other hand, I mean, the way I try to think about it is because it's just us and because Nintendo has stayed very hands off, we've somehow, some way we've gotten to the point with our community where we're kind of self-sustaining, right? We're doing stuff like, you look at like what Gimmer and his gang are doing, what Gimmer and Matthew and them are doing with VG Bootcamp, how they're trying to do the Smash World Tour, what Golden Guardians is doing to kind of elevate with the Smash Grassroots Fund. Probably a lot of these initiatives, if there was stronger control coming from Nintendo, probably a lot of these initiatives would look different. Really, really hard to predict because here's the thing about esports, right? There are game companies that have really tried to get involved with their game and they've kind of botched it. And I don't know, I think there's an argument that Nintendo being hands off is better than that. Like imagine, they did come in and they were like, all right, we got Nintendo Smash Esports now. We're going to run a bunch of tournaments. By the way, they're all free for all items on. You know what I mean? Like that's an extreme example, but that would be lame, right? That I think we have gotten the opportunity to kind of define what we care about as a competitive scene, partially because we have the keys to the kingdom as the community. And so, I mean, I think it's always going to be a bit of a trade-off. And, obviously Melee's working with some unique challenges, man. We're like a 20-year-old video game with a huge competitive scene. That's just kind of unheard of. We've had to build our own netcode. Shouts to Fizzy, of course. But on the flip side, I think a lot of the community support may never have happened. Nintendo we probably wouldn't have a Fizzy. We might be playing on, Nintendo Wi-Fi forever. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, I think it causes to be self-reliant because when no one's gonna help you, you kind of make things happen or just forever just perish, right? So as a scene, we just know like, okay, we're not gonna get support, so we gotta just either create this or figure out a way to make this happen. And because I think we've built as a community, people see that like Golden Guardians, right? Or anybody else out there that's helped, they see these things, and from there we just kind of building our own like community and like organized amongst just like not having resources, and everybody puts their little bit together, and then we build something from that. And I think if Nintendo was in the picture, even if it was like I agree with Toph, they could have botched it, who knows? But even if they didn't, if they got it right, who's to say that we would be as self-efficient as we are because of no support? And I think for our community, it sets a precedent for other old games as well. Like I see like Marvel
Revival
2, Third Strike,
yeah,
and stuff like that, and it's kind of like the same sentiment in the aspect of, even if you do have developer support, this game is just a really old game, so it's hard for big companies to want to justify investing into it. But even whether they do or not, we make the things that we want to see, and I think from there you curate attention off that alone. And I think that's what we've done. And I think if Nintendo was around, I can't say that we would have the ability to be as self-sufficient as we are and creative as we are if we had their support, because we would just be like, yo, Nintendo, what's next? As opposed to being like, all right, let's just make this happen.
I would say the only thing that I would really want to change, just to address the final part of your question, is like, it would be cool if we just had, if we knew we had the ability, there was the whole thing with like the Big House C&D over, running an online tournament basically. Right. And I think that if there's the only thing I would really want to change ideally, if we could have this, would be kind of an official word from above that, like, you guys keep doing what you're doing, because like, we're always kind of thinking there's some cool stuff that we can't do because we know that if we, things like, for example, there's always going to be that conversation of like, let's say we wanted to mod the game and we wanted to have custom stages in the tournament rule set. That's something
that would cause its own schism in the community potentially.
Right?
Yes.
Well, sure. But let's say we did, that side of it aside, let's say the community came together and decided,
yeah,
we want to run custom stages. We want to run some custom stages in tournaments or something like that. Okay, we probably will always have to wonder what is too far with regard to Big N, right? And it would be cool if we kind of had a little bit more of a, you look at what, like, I don't know, look at like Yoshinori Ono with, okay, I know he's not with Capcom anymore, but how there was kind of that liaison where it felt like there was somebody at the developer publisher that interface with the community. It would be cool if we felt like, if it felt like there was somebody we could talk to about if we wanted to do certain things, where it felt like, man, this would be cool, but who knows if Nintendo shuts it all down. It would be cool if there was some way for us to just have a point of contact where we could run things by them.
Yeah, kind of like Harada with Tekken.
Harada with exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that would just be nice because it would just give tournament organizers a breath of like relief, where it's like, okay, cool, like, at least we know what to do, what we can get, what we can do and what not to do. But right now it feels like we're shooting in the dark when it comes to like, okay, if we do this thing, do we have to worry about Nintendo? And
or
right
just
now,
getting shunned for something that you didn't even know was bad, right?
Exactly.
In your eyes, you might be like, "Oh, this is fine," and then they'll be like, "No."
Right.
So yeah,
and that's how I feel.
I agree. What about you, PP?
I think good points all around by the gamers. I'll try and add a little bit here. I mean, just to kind of go over, kind of the negatives again really quickly. We have far less money than other esports that'll have like similar viewership or even less viewership than us. We don't have a circuit or anything like that. And our home streams, outside of some exceptions, are a lot smaller because we don't have like companies trying to help us brand and like attach themselves to us and stuff like that. So that's made it hard. I mean, it's part of the struggle that Brandon had, we were talking about earlier. Real shame. But I mean, kind of also like Brandon was saying, our own people had to start running things. We got to keep our own culture. We got to have our own figureheads running stuff, right? Like it's not Nintendo employees like that are like working with Toph on commentary for top 8 or whatever to make sure we play nice, or that could happen. I mean, as someone that's done an E3 and worked with Nintendo on stuff, I mean, there's a focus on like when you're playing a tournament, make sure that you're trying to look like you're having a good time. I'm like, no, I want to beat the brakes off these goobers. Like, right? Like you don't want to be thinking about like, I could, like I'm already kind of animated, so I don't really care. But like, for people that are more serious, like that's a real challenge. And I mean, there is that kind of clash. Like Nintendo wants a certain thing, they want a certain brand, and then we want a certain thing. And so I think there is just kind of like an inevitable kind of like issue there. I mean, maybe that could be worked out. I don't know, but I don't think there's any interest really on either side at this point. I think if they change, I think we'd be more willing to talk, but I certainly would be skeptical regardless. But I mean, there are lots of other things, right? Like because they're not supporting, we have controller issues, and we found our own solution. So right, like there's two sides to it. Like, would their solution have been as good as ours? I don't know. I don't really think so, but you never know, right? But they might have continued making them. That would have been nice.
Right.
They could, then there's like there's the online that Toph mentioned. We got to do our own, which certainly would be better than whatever they did. So shout outs to that. And then there are other things like discs and consoles and everything. Like there's all kinds of things that it would logistically and everything else, it would just be nicer and easier if we could have just done it that way, right? But I mean, do I want it to change? It's like what Golden Guardians, Brandon getting signed, or YungWaff getting signed by Beastcoast, everyone kind of showing here, and we talked about this early on, is kind of that, I think we can find our own way. What the 5 days of Melee, if I'm remembering, I think it was 5, right, Toph? Was it 5?
It was 5.
Okay, just making sure. I don't want to mess that up. But the 5 days of Melee kind of shows us is when we want to make a concerted content effort, when we want to bring everyone together and do this stuff, we can. We haven't done anything like that since, or not even so much beforehand, but we've shown that we can do it. We can make a concerted response. We can do good things, and we can, showcase that we have a lot of good to give. And I think that's just on us. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? If it's on us, then we have to be doing things and thinking about it constantly, but also because it's on us and we're trying to also make ends meet, then it can be harder to think about like the larger picture. And so, would I want it to change? No, because I think it gives us really valuable things. I think so many great people in Melee go to other esports because they build so many great skills in Melee. I mean, that's a common kind of problem we can have. But that being said, the Melee people are awesome. We get a lot of great people in the community because the game and overall culture can be really good. So would I want to change it? No, because I think they would change our culture in a way that I've seen worked on. I think when we even started getting more esports and wanted to work with them more, our culture already changed a little bit in some unhealthy ways. Some positive ways, don't get me wrong, of course, but some unhealthy ways as well. So I wouldn't want it to change. And certainly I think if anything, this is just another reminder that we can bring so much more out. I think the Nintendo conversation, I'd love that to be the way we always think of it. Okay, sure, they're not doing something, but that just means that we have so much we can do. Does that make sense to our caller or anyone else on the pod with us?
Yeah, it did. Thank you all.
Thank you. You got any shout outs you'd like to do, or plugs?
Well, first, I'm writing a paper on this, and I would like permission to quote you all.
Yeah, do it.
Oh yeah, you got it,
bro. Secondly, shout outs to
you get an A on that paper.
Yeah, let us know how it turns out, man.
Secondly, shout outs to all the amazing content being produced. It's keeping me playing while I can only play against computers.
Dope.
Appreciate that.
Oh, you don't got that Slippy on you?
I'm working on it. I'm borrowing my friend's Wii to legally rip it.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
That's very thoughtful of you. Very thoughtful.
That works out. Yeah. Good answer. Slippy.gg. Slippy.gg to get set up. All right. Well, thank you, TBR. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think about a lot. I think about, obviously the future of Melee, how to get people in, how to keep people invested and stuff like that a lot. So it's
it really reminds me of the PogChamps question I think we had last week or week before.
Yeah. How to grow the game and stuff like that,
I mean, just having events like that, getting eyeballs on. I think because once we get people in, I think they like staying. So just getting the eyeballs and then making them not think that Falco is like 20th in the game. I think those are our two challenges.
Certainly seems like it.
Yeah.
I think we're about ready to have our next caller on board. What is up?
Hello.
Hey there.
What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
How's it going? My name is Gangly or Nick. I'm calling from New Jersey.
What's up, Nick? How you doing, man?
Good. All right. So I've got a hot one. My take is that I feel like Melee is on a trajectory to be a more viable full-time career than some traditional single player sports like tennis or bowling or maybe even golf.
Yeah, that's scorching.
Bowling?
Maybe. I don't know much about bowling. Maybe.
Yeah.
So I've got like a couple points if you want me to expand a little bit.
You're saying this is about Melee specifically, right?
This is about Melee specifically.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so any of you guys know anything about tennis? I don't know. If you guys
I watched some.
Man, Roger.
So I don't really know too much about tennis, but I saw this stat that was interesting.
Winning on the clay courts. Sorry, go on.
So tennis has 60 million players worldwide. Obviously, that doesn't mean 60 million competitive players, but 60 million players nonetheless. And of those, only the range I could find online was about 300. One stat did say 1,500. That seemed to be the outlier. But I'll say a range of 300 to 1,500 players actually make a living from tennis, which is crazy when you actually think of the peaks.
I have heard that.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have been higher. Okay.
And so I don't know how to do the math to do the percentage of that, but I know that's a very small percentage, a very small percentage.
Well, that doesn't include things like coaches and such
sure.
like that, I'd imagine.
And so
players.
Yeah.
I do think that there are a couple things that Melee has going for it. One, tier 1 organizations in the last couple of years have shown much more interest, right? Obviously, Golden Guardians being one of the most recent ones that's really pouring.
Up to the YouTube.
And I believe that this is normalizing investment into the scene from tier 1 esports, which is arguably more valuable than Nintendo, which is kind of bouncing off of what you guys were talking about, where we can still kind of be ourselves, but we actually have the resources outpouring into our community. Secondly, Melee has different ways for players to support themselves that traditional sports can't. I mean, the most obvious is like streaming and YouTube, right? Where players can make a living while still playing, while still competing, through these different outlets besides prize money, which most single-player sports have shown that prize money is not really the way that a sport provides for its players. It's usually through endorsements or other supplemental income. And so Melee actually has the infrastructure there. And then just one small little point is that, I've heard a lot of people talking about moving to monitors with Slippy being normalized, with, the ways that we've figured out how to make it feel lagless. And moving on to like more modern technology also opens up the door for like new sponsorships to bring into events. I always think back of like my first time watching a tournament was back in the MLG days, where like you had the Astro listen in. It's like you had these really brand name investments into tournaments that helped supply these events and these players with a certain kind of income. And so maybe moving towards more modern technology, like having monitors at events, could be a new way to bring money into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that the end of the?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. That's all I got.
I mean, okay. That is interesting. First of all, the tennis stat is surprising to me. I agree that I would say that for most even traditional sports, I would say most of the money is coming from endorsement sponsorships. And for players, it's the same way, right? Like, yeah, prize money. I think the only esport where prize money makes up that much of a significant chunk of like players' income is probably Dota, because they have the international. The international is
crazy,
weird.
$5 million prize pool.
It's insane. Yeah. And Dota, it's the way Dota payouts work basically is if you're a player, if you like, they have a crazy curve where it's like the top guys make a ton of money because of that, and then everybody else is kind of, making a lot less. And I would say that it's interesting that you brought up single player sports like tennis, because it's probably similar, right? Like you look at League of Legends. League of Legends has a lot of stable income for a lot of the pro players that can get onto the, obviously like LCS level players. They're going to get paychecks. Everybody else is not, but all of the pro players are basically going to have stable income. And for single player games, it is important that there are teams that are actually providing these, sponsorships and signing players and stuff like that. Can I ask you one question, Nick, which is, what makes you say that Melee is on a trajectory to be more? Is it the fact that because I would say that Melee sounds similar to what you just described with tennis, but why do you think Melee is on a trajectory to be more viable? Is it because there's the statistic of how many people are in Melee? Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest issues with like these single player sports is that they can't rely on a salary, right? Because they're not on teams. They have endorsement deals, right? But typically single player sports struggle for these lower ranked players to find endorsement deals that can really supplement their lives. And again, that goes back to this whole thing of like 300 of the top players of a 60 million player sport can make a living. But I mean, Golden Guardians signed 3 players in a single player game. And so Melee and esports in general allows single player games to actually have a salary, to actually have recurring income that doesn't rely on prize pool, that doesn't rely on like seasonal endorsements. And I think that the fact that we can actually have a single player game rely or live off of like this salary or team structure is something that a lot of these single player sports don't have.
Huh. Man, I don't feel completely qualified. I mean, you're bringing up some good points for sure. I will say that, okay, I will say this. I think what the very recent years has taught us is that in esports as a whole, and I think Melee has recently gotten pretty good at this, especially if you look at Golden Guardians and what the GG Melee channel is doing and stuff like that. I think we have learned that in esports, the way to stability is content. And via content, even somebody who's not top level can have a valid path to, first of all, streaming income with subscribers and stuff like that, but also, you know, potentially sponsorships. You look at somebody like me, I'm not a top player by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm putting out content, and that's something that people can do. So I think you're raising some good points. I don't know that I can agree or disagree with the Melee's on a trajectory to be more full-time, more viable than tennis, but hey, maybe like you know, I don't know, bowling or even like you know, wiffle ball or whatever.
Yeah, I think there's a certain level of optimism that has to come with like this sort of belief, and also
it's crazy, but
yeah, you know, it's got to be a little spicy to get on the show. So
yeah, got it. What do y'all think?
I guess what I'm curious is like when you mean more viable, like do you mean sustainable, make more money? Like what would that mean? You know?
I mean, I guess there's like a couple ways you could look at it. You could look at it where like one versus percentage of like player population. It's more likely to make a living off Melee than it is to make a living off tennis. I guess that's like one way. But the other way you could look at it is like based on the amount of investment that the scene has gotten in the last couple of years, I'm hopeful that the amount of investment will continue to increase, and that over the next few years, we'll begin to see, you know, maybe there's a world where 50 of the top 100 players are playing full time, where 100 of the top 100 players are full time. You know, like I think that is a realistic world, even if it's a ways off. I think that we are currently on our way there.
Right.
I will say that I watched. Okay, so there's an episode of Stan's, aka Ludwig's friend, aka Aatrox's friend, has a show. He's doing esports show. He does Stan's show, and he was talking about the path to how to be viable in the esports landscape without having a championship winning team or player, and he called it casual competitive, which is basically like you look at like what FaZe Clan does with Call of Duty. You're right. How they have such a strong brand presence that you've got rappers and athletes who want to be FaZe Clan, right? Like they're not a championship winning team per se, but their content they put out, trick shot montages, you know, shit like that. They've got such a strong brand presence that people want in, right? And they get sponsors and they can sell sponsorships. And I think what a lot of esports teams are realizing is that that's kind of the future of how to be sustainable in the esports landscape. And I think one of the teams that is really that Stan shouted out, which I thought was cool, was he shouted out Golden Guardians. And Stan is somebody who's been a long time. Stan's, you know, he's Gen G. He was GM for Gen G, League of Legends. You know, now he's doing full-time content. But I think he understands the esports landscape very well. And he was saying what Golden Guardians is doing with Melee that's like paving the path forward. That's a lot of what these other teams are doing or not doing. Really, they could learn from us, not to toot our own horn, but it's like, I think basically casual competitive is as in, yes, you're playing and you're competing and you're trying to win, but also you're putting out content that's easy to engage with, easy to bring people in, easy to sell sponsorships. That's going to be the future. And I think teams are just learning how to do that. And I think what is going, because you know, I've talked to the big wigs at Golden Guardians about this. You know, talked to Hunter about this. Hunter was saying he thinks the Golden Guardians Melee investment, he's very happy with it. He's saying, you know, this is like everything's been going great, or not, you know, numbers look good, all this stuff. And I agree with you. I think that there's a very real scenario where a lot of other teams will realize like, oh shit, like we could be doing this. And Melee fans are very engaged. Melee fans love to, we've got a little bit of an older fan base, but a very super passionate, dedicated fan base. And we're older, so naturally we can spend a little bit more money than, maybe like the Minecraft or the Fortnite community or something like that. I don't know. And yeah, I think it's look, I don't know about more viable than tennis, but I think you're raising a lot of good points. And I agree that I think Melee is on an upward trajectory. I will say that talking to just my friends in esports and stuff like that, I've been very optimistic lately.
Yep, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say, man, because like tennis, you could get a bag from tennis, man. I can't say,
the
man.
Tennis Lambo, man.
Like they play like just to qualify in tournaments, you get like, I don't know, like $300,000-$400,000. Obviously, like you got to be, like you said earlier, Gangly, just to even get to that point, you got to be like 0.001%. So I get your point there, but I mean, if Melee would have only time would tell, man. You wouldn't know that for another decade or two. Yeah, at best. Like that's how long it would. I think it would take a long time to have this question be answered. Melee to me, I guess, reminds me more like almost like music in a sense, right? Like you got like a lot of like, or at least I'll just go with hip hop because that's just what I am familiar with. So it's like some rappers will be independent, some rappers are signed to a label. You could think of a label like a sponsorship or something like that, and people like they might not necessarily like have the most selling albums, but between tours and interviews and other content that they do, they like kind of like Toph was saying, they put themselves out more. And I guess like now I think is a play, like I'm just piggybacking off what you said, Toph. I guess the play is just to not only just like not just brand, but just to show who the person is. I think people understand that you just can't like win everything. And some people don't even care about that. I think a lot of people just want to see the people for who they are. And I think if we, you just do the content and stuff like that, it can sustain itself. Will that be more viable than the events itself? I'm not sure. Could that be more viable than other sports? It maybe. I don't know how like bowling or like pool or something like that does, but I mean, those things have been around for a long ass time, so ain't no telling. But tennis, I'm not gonna hold you, bro. I don't think we're getting tennis numbers no time soon. But I mean, when you look at the sample size, like I see what you're saying, but it's also like if Melee keeps getting the investments that we've been getting, more people are gonna play, so that sample size is gonna increase also. So it's like, yeah, we might have what 200, 300,000 players. How many people you think know of the competitive scene? Probably like a couple 100,000 maybe.
Probably, yeah. I would say so. I think,
yeah.
You look at the, I mean, this past weekend we had 65K watching SEL peak, probably over 100K tuning in at some point, right? I mean, I don't know.
Right. So imagine if more, investments come and things just get bigger. Like you said, if the top 100 can all make a living, that means that sample size will increase from 200,000 to 1 million players. Like it'll be common to, like, okay, in the Melee community, chances are, like, say you go to your school, right, and no one's good there because chances are, if they were, you would have known who they were. Well, I feel like if the scene got bigger, there could be someone who's ridiculous, and you literally won't have any idea who they are prior.
Yeah,
I think that would be way more common in Melee.
In that sort of landscape,
yeah, like way more common. Like there's people's like, yo, this person's ridiculous, but I've never heard of them. Whereas like in Melee, if you see somebody that's that good, chances are, even if you haven't heard of them, someone has heard of them. But yeah, you'll see probably like a top 50 level player who's never been to a tournament. I think like that would be common in that landscape. It'd be crazy. It'd be a free for all, actually. I think. But I mean, yeah, you raised some good points though, Gangly. Like it's definitely like I think it's a challenging question to ask. It's very optimistic too, which I think is dope.
Cool.
Yeah. I guess if I'll add just a little bit here, because you guys have given like a lot of good information. In the world where Melee does make it, and we are bigger than tennis, we are Goliaths, right? How do we get there? Well, think about it more. If who benefited from pandemic land? Was it tennis? No. Was it Melee? Yes. So like that's the people that are going to be learning about Melee are only going to be going up over time because of just like people are going to be more digitally plugged in. Melee, like Twitch really likes to plug esports, Melee esport,
Right.
so on and so on. We're getting into content more. That's all going to help us. And then esports in general are rising. There's I saw I saw some stuff about Beastcoast just finished a round of venture capital funding. People are right. People are getting in. Golden Guardian is doing what they're doing, sub to the YouTube. And all that stuff's kind of coming together. Maybe that does happen, right? And it's a world where it happens, right? Because in Melee, like you could you don't get tennis elbow in Melee. You could say you get carpal tunnel or whatever, and we can say, oh, just play on a box and maybe it's fine or whatever, and then maybe that's it. Maybe then right? And so like we have arguments for us, right? And Melee wins and the day is saved and we all ride happily into the sunset. Or the other scenario is we get Nintendo'd really hard. Every time we start to blow up and do something, they do like showing up, such as Evo 2013. You guys were there. You know what they did. And they've done it again recently, I'm sure. I mean, they've done stuff with circuits in like 2014. It's not unreasonable to think they wouldn't try to do something again if we started getting anywhere close to this possibility, or there's just some massive opportunity. And like things just only go in they're just going in certain directions, right? Like the closer, like if tennis were to stay under some type of like decline, which I don't know if it is. I don't know the trajectory tennis is on right now. I don't keep up with that, but I know Melee's going up. So if tennis is going down and Melee's going up, it might take decades, but there will be a point where like that overlap happens. And then before that, we'll see stuff and be like, oh yeah, how did no one see this coming? And it's like, well, there was a Golden Guardians podcast in 2021 that talked about it. How did we not know? But right, like, so it's hard to say, right? Like,
it's hard to say. I mean, that conversation with Nintendo might change, right? Melee starts getting that big that we might finally get the numbers where Melee's like Nintendo comes in and says, you know what? We actually do need to start investing.
I mean, they would have to act.
That big.
They
got to go one way or the other. They got to go, we're supporting this and we're getting in and we're going to make some money off this too. Or you know what I mean? They would have to. That conversation looks completely different if we start reaching those numbers. So it's impossible.
I mean, let's also not forget that Melee. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to grow up with Melee now, right? 2001 was when it came out. Zoomers ain't know about it. They ain't gonna know about it unless we like hit them with some more docs. Please don't harass Samox.
Hey, but on the flip side, Minecraft. I remember watching Minecraft videos in 2008, and I've got two my girlfriend's nieces are they're very very young. They're super Minecraft obsessed. So there are plenty of examples of old video games that get resurgences and little kids start caring about them and really so that there's potential. There's potential. I'm not saying that that doesn't happen without work, but if there's one thing that the Melee community definitely does, it's we're obsessed with keeping our game alive. So it could there's a world, there's a time for it. Because Minecraft is an old game. Minecraft has been around for a long time, and Minecraft is probably the number one game with kids right now. So
I think it's just the number one game in general. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just all that to say, like, if I were betting on esports versus tennis, I would bet on esports. On Melee versus tennis, I'm like, because we also are probably going to have to be more reliant on content. What if the platforms change, right? Like, what if something happens with Twitch? What if YouTube changes its monetization policies regarding esports? Like, we're relying on that. We don't know. I don't know. It could happen overnight, and because that stuff's happened before. So it's hard to, and then a lot of the tennis people can retire and do some commentary or coaching or whatever. And if we get big enough, maybe Melee people can do that. I don't know how that shakes out. Maybe there's more stuff we can do because it's just a different environment. So maybe it works out. But there are unique challenges we have, and I think those are conversations that would be great to have. Because I mean, these conversations would be good to have now anyway, right? The player base is aging of the top players. I mean, I know there are some that just want to retire, but like, where do they go, right? Armada's speed running. What does he want to do after that? We don't know. Like, and there's just all these kinds of questions that are out there for us, and it'd be great to have this sorted out. But I guess esports isn't there yet. Maybe are we just waiting for League of Legends to solve it, and then we go, oh, that's what you do. Well, we can't do that because we don't have Nintendo. So like again, we have to figure this out, and the sooner we start having conversations about it, the better. And so I whether it does or doesn't, I think it's a great question, and it's a great point to bring up. Good discussion.
Sure. Thanks for coming on, Gangly. Any shout outs you'd like to do as a fellow groomsman at Zoo's wedding?
So I mean, first off, shout outs to Golden Guardians.
Absolutely.
You guys, honestly, the acquisition of the three of you guys got me back into Melee, and it's really, really exciting. And also, it's besides Zane, I've gotten to work with all of you guys with Last Stock Legends, so it's cool to kind of feel like a connection to the. Actually, Golden Guardians is also my favorite org, so it feels really cool to have a connection to all of you guys. And also, shout out to my wife Jess, who put our son to sleep while I was on the show, so that I could wait to be called.
Respect.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Shout
thanks
out.
for having me on, guys.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
All right. Take care.
That's awesome. I assume that's all the time. I feel like we took a fair chunk of time to answer some of these questions. Do we have someone queued up? Wormlax? Q? Do we got somebody? Are we bringing anyone else on, or is that going to be it for the show? Q?
I am curious.
One last caller.
We do have one last caller. We'll try to be quick with it. We don't want to go, super duper duper long. But what is up to our last caller for the day, and where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Texas.
Texas.
Shout outs. What's your question for us today?
My question is, what do you think the next Evo is going to be? Like, the next big tournament that comes with the most prestige from winning one? Or do you think, like, maybe there won't be one?
I was talking about this with Bobby. So the question is not just when is Melee at Evo again. The question is like, what is going to be the next thing where the level of prestige matches how it was with Evo, where it's like, Evo's that one tournament people want to win.
Yeah, good question.
I don't know.
I mean, I can tell you, I don't think it'll be an online thing, which makes it harder to answer, right? And then there are questions about offline things. Are we gonna get our Genesis back? Are we gonna get our Big House back? Are we gonna get our Shine back? Right? If we don't, then there's a massive gap there that someone can fill. If we do, are we still going to have some really big summer event? Because there's space for that still, right? Like if we're not doing Evo, right? So what happens there? And I do not talk to TOs as often as I probably would be benefited to do. So I do not have the information even close to being able to answer that. But yeah, I mean, like many people are talking about the post-pandemic boom. If we go back to tourneys and then maybe things just spring up really quickly, something big happens. There's a beef that happens, a salty sweet. Like I don't know, like something could just come back really quickly. And I think, as we kind of start seeing like the branding for these things shape up, we have maybe some business-minded TOs that get into it. What do they want to promote? How do they want to do it? I think that's, it'll start becoming clear rather quickly, what it could be like. I think there's an opportunity. I imagine TOs recognize this to varying degrees, and whoever seizes that, I don't know, but I just hope, they do a good job. And I mean, I look forward to that sort of thing more than anything else. And having a place like that where we can grow and, not have Nintendo worries, I think would be awesome for us.
Yeah. I agree. I'm not. You can go tough. I was hard for me to answer. I'm not really sure.
It's tough. Yeah, it's a tough question. No, I think I think Genesis, in terms of Genesis will definitely be back. It's just going to be I do talk to TOs. So Genesis I don't think is going anywhere. It's just kind of been question mark the online era.
Yeah. Good.
But so Genesis right now, okay, so the number one metric that I'm always thinking about when it comes to sort of thing is kind of like viewership. Evo always said the viewership peak, and I think that lended credence to why it was such a prestigious event to win. Genesis is one of the few events we have where it consistently is getting, reaching deep into the 100,000 mark for the viewers, right? And I think that's big. I think Genesis is, at the same time, it's in an interesting time in the year where there's no real tournaments around Genesis. There's nothing that really leads up to it. And it would be interesting. The hopes that I have are, I know there's basically 2 organizations right now that feel like they're trying to lead up to a Capcom Pro Tour Finals type of situation, which is, VG Bootcamp's kind of doing that with the Smash World Tour. Yeah. And I think that's going to be, it's cool this year for sure, but I think that they're really, this year is kind of like a soft launch, where next year when things are a lot more offline, I think it's going to be a way bigger deal. Because, this year it feels like there hasn't been, on the Melee side of things, there hasn't been much talk with the Smash World Tour, because it's been the panel is going to, we'll see what happens with the Smash World Tour when, Tafo and the panel puts together the list of people who's going to represent at the offline qualifiers and stuff like that. That's going to happen much later. And I think also Beyond the Summit is well positioned, because Beyond the Summit at 65,000 for SEL, I was like, oh shit, that's like a lot. That's a lot of viewers for a thing that was happening every weekend. I know before the pandemic hit, Beyond the Summit had a lot of plans to start doing, more events like Main Stage with open brackets, right? Main Stage being the first open tournament they ever did. I think it might have been actually the roast of, anyway. Beyond the Summit was getting into, offline open bracket type events. And, you could see they're pretty well positioned, I think, to start. They could do something where it's like an open bracket that people can go to and get qualifying points. And then it kind of like MLG style leads up to, it could culminate in literally Summit, right? And Summit could be, I think Summit is definitely one of the events where there's I'd say the only reason right now that it isn't this is because it doesn't quite feel like there's enough of a structured buildup of open bracket into Summit, but that path is starting to get well defined now with stuff like, Rollback Rumble leads into SCL, leads into Summit. So I could see a world where Summit could kind of become that. And I would say that already there is a lot of prestige, when you win a Summit. I'm thinking about when Axe won Summit 8, and that was one of the most emotional moments I've seen in Melee ever, right? Summit obviously is a big fucking deal. Yeah, part of the reason I would also say Beyond the Summit, they're well positioned is because BTS Smash, is a channel that a lot of events are now working with to get their events on. I was talking to some of the guys from Summit. They were saying, these days a lot of TOs will go up to them and say, hey, can I have my tournament on BTS Smash? Asked it was Beyond the Summit would go to the TOs and say, hey, we're interested in, so with BTS Smash kind of taking over, and which is great, I think, because now you can just kind of follow BTS Smash on Twitch and oh, there's a tournament happening right now. All right, cool. Let me go watch. So yeah, I think there are a couple of organizations that are well suited to kind of take up that mantle. I think one of the other strengths Evo had that was cool was that people would tune into Evo for other games, and so there was kind of that natural crossover with the FGC, but and it would be interesting to see if there's a way that we can continue to do that. I think it'd be, I'm interested in revisiting, with the whole CRT versus monitors thing. I haven't given up on Evo. I think it'd be cool if in the future we get back to Evo, because, I just want to go up to the Canon bros and be like, hey, we're running on monitors now. So you don't have to hire people to lug around these 50-pound CRTs anymore. What do you say? I'm interested in restarting that conversation. I think there's a world where, Evo, I don't think Melee has to be gone from Evo forever. So yeah, I think there's a lot of possibilities, and I'm just trying to think about it from a holistic, trying to tackle it from all angles kind of thing, Yeah,
I was going to piggyback off what you said. I honestly think you can't just rely on Smash for that to happen. I think the FGC needs to be involved too, because Evo primarily is like an FGC tournament, like being real. So, I think the reason why a lot of people watch is because you have finals for every game. So if you like Mortal Kombat, you're probably gonna watch Smash because you're already watching Mortal Kombat, or if you were watching Street Fighter, you might as well watch Dragon Ball. If you were watching Dragon Ball, you'll watch Tekken and so forth. I just think having everything on display for everybody to view was, to me, a big reason why Evo's viewership was so crazy. Because it just had so many different games back to back to back that you can just watch. You just have all day watching the best players for their respective games play in one building. So, for me personally, I think something outside of Smash would have to take place. I mean, you could have a major like Genesis and stuff like that, Big House. Obviously, like those places are really good. Those are like the hubs for just particularly Smash. I think if we're talking something replacing Evo, I think you need both. Like I don't think the FGC could do it without Smash, and I don't think we could do it without them. So yeah, at least to me, if you want to replace Evo, something like a combo breaker would have to happen. And
right.
Yeah, I also think too when these places, like especially from the FGC side, when they say Smash, I think they got to put Melee in there. Like I think like what hurt their stock was just getting rid of Melee because it was old. No, I don't think that's the play, personally. But I mean, hey, everyone's different, so I know. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess collaboration, right? It works really well, and content. I mean, there's a reason, right? Like you're getting communities that are going to cross over there. I don't have too much else to really add about it. I mean, I kind of said most of what I needed to say with it up front. I think you guys both added some really good points. Now, I think Melee could probably grow really big. Like Genesis would have other games, other even fighting games, other Smash games at it. I think like there's a way we get big with focusing on our thing, and then we bring something else in. I think there are other ways to make that collaboration happen, or I mean, like I'm imagine for the tier 1 esports, Dota and League and all that, they just have their own event with just their own game, and it's fine. And so, but maybe for us, we're different, and maybe we do need it. Maybe we just need to find our way to market it or build it up long enough for it to be its own thing. I don't know the answer to that, but if you just want Evo size, I mean, yeah, collaboration probably gets us point A to B faster if that's what you're looking for. If you otherwise, yeah, build it up over time and then we see what happens. So I think regardless, it's good to kind of be open and try and attack it from multiple angles.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully that answers your question, Fives. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those questions. It's like it's hard to provide a definitive answer, but
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that answered my question pretty well. Thank you.
Thank you. You got any shout outs for us on your way out?
Shout outs to DN and and shout outs to my Twitch stream. I think it's Fives 674. I don't stream often, but I do sometimes.
Okay, follow Fives 5674 at
Tell
twitch.tv.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Take care, Fives.
All right.
Man.
All right, that should be our last caller. Now, I mean, Toph, I think you and I both kind of want to ask Brandon about the same thing, but you brought it up earlier, so I will give you the honor, sir.
As in, we're talking about the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything I just want to dig into that. That's first of all, I'm bad with dates. What weekend is that?
It's like, okay, so people see the date and they get thrown off by it, right? So it's like 8 days from July 3rd to July 11th. However, the actual like singles is only 3 days. It's the last 3 days.
Okay.
Oh, well, only 3 days.
Yeah. So we're not playing like a 64. The why it's so many different days is because there's a bunch of different events happening. So we got
that's cool,
we
man.
got Smash Sisters happening. We got Gale tournament happening. We got volleyball doubles. We got Wolf bracket. We got the regional cruise. We're bringing that one back. We got what else? Doubles, region lock doubles, and then we got a singles bracket for EU, singles bracket for Asia, and America. And so basically, what we're trying to do is like the last 3 days will kind of be like on some 5 days of Melee type of stuff where it's like 24 hours. So it's like you'll see like EU bracket into like, you know, America stuff or NA. After that goes into Asia overnight, goes back into EU. And
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's the plan.
That's
That is
cool.
It's a lot of work, but you know, a lot of people are helping us out, and you know.
How did this get created? Is this a goal of yours? Did you want to run something 8 days? Was that what you're like? Yeah, I was got bored running a 1 or 2 day event. Let's see how long I can make it.
Well, I think a different is you see every like, and this ain't no knock to any TOs. Y'all are all godlike. You know, I love y'all, right? I think just I just felt like sometimes the events can get monotonous in the aspect of like, okay, we watch singles and you know in the top 64 and then top 8 and then you know we wait for 2-3 weeks till the next one comes, and I wanted experience not just to be for you know just the viewers but like the people in the events too, you know.
I mean, it also differentiates you, right? It makes your event stand out more as well.
Yeah, that is crazy. I didn't even think about it. I thought about it more so just on some, you know, hey, let's just have an event where people could do more than just play singles. Like, you know, like I think volleyball, like stuff like, you know, fun stuff like that, volleyball or wolf brackets. I think things to just take away the edge off everything being so serious and monotonous at the same time. Just added to it. But I do think it being a summer qualifier makes it more intense in the sense of, you know, people are trying to get that spot. So, you know, and the thing is, like, say you're not interested in any of those things, like you don't care about wolf volleyball, you don't have to enter or watch it or anything. It's not going to affect the actual, you know, tournament, but it's there for people who want to do it. And basically how we have it scheduled is on the 3rd, we'd play like that's all gonna be like volleyball, wolf, Smash Sisters, stuff like that. And then throughout the week, you'll see the regional crew battles, and that's like a tournament, right? So, and you'll see that into doubles, and then singles, right? And then on the last day, we'd have like the crew battle finals. Like possibly what we're trying to do is an exhibition in doubles. It varies because we're trying to have the winner of East and West play, but you know, with connections, it's just kind of hard to say. And then, you know, we do those two things into top 8, right? And I think the biggest thing, what I really wanted to do was not to just make sure, you know, people have a good time playing and a viewer experience, but to actually make sure we could do the tournament quick. I'm trying to do my best to make sure that, you know, the players don't have to wait for hours to play a match and stuff like that. So it's like we want to make a viewer experience while at the same time, you know, giving the player experience, you know, not having them play like 12 hours in one day. You know, that's why it starts, pools start Friday night.
Yeah.
Into top 64. So, you know, a lot of people can, you know, yeah, it's a Friday, but at least you get a lot of that stuff out the way. So come Saturday, it's just top 64. And we allocated a lot of time just in case we run behind or we have breaks. But the plan is to try to get everything done as quick as we can. And say we have a match queued for stream. That match that would be queued wouldn't delay the tournament. So our goal is to keep the tournament moving and be on pace to end it on time, while at the same time like giving everybody just content to watch. And I think the whole 24 hours thing, the last 3 days is gonna be dope because, you know, you could just watch, you know, say you're up late on some degenerate stuff and you want to see like Asia. Like I remember last Rollback Rumble we did, Asia, someone got top 8 from Cambodia. I didn't even know that they played Melee in Cambodia. And that was wild. You know, he's a pretty good Fox player too. And I just think that, you know, putting everything on display like that, I think it'd be dope than just having like a 3-day, you know, singles event.
Awesome.
That was like
you talking to Watch or any of those guys from Japan Melee for the Asia bracket? Because I know Watch.
Yeah.
lot about.
Yeah, talk to watch, but a lot of like I've got to know a lot of the Southeast Asian scene in general. Like a lot of people, Singapore,
Yeah, so shout out
people in Hong Kong.
I've entered tournaments in Singapore.
Yeah, man, dope scene. A lot of a lot of people. We're all trying to tie it in together. Just not only just like because like Japan's kind of the hub. I've realized,
right?
With melee, with Asian melee. So you definitely have to like make sure Japan sees it first,
right?
And then, but everywhere else has like a lot of good like small pockets, like each like Singapore, Hong Kong, South Korea,
Philippines.
Philippines. I think Malaysia might have players. Cambodia. So getting all these scenes together to try to make this work has been pretty cool, and they're like just so happy to just have an event like this.
Yeah.
It's cool to be able to do it. We tried to get more stuff like we couldn't really get Central and South America just because they're kind of on the same time zone as us. So it was too
right.
difficult. And then Australia, I think they got like LAN events coming up. So it just I think that so I don't really know what's going on but out there, but they really couldn't do it. But I think having Asia involved and EU involved is just a cool segue into America, and then just to end it with the summit qualifier and stuff like that. I think
so there's a lot of
right. And how
there's a lot of people tuning in because all of the I'm thinking about how Wizzy, SJ Nunn, some of all the Falcons. Those guys are all gunning for that spot.
And with the big one too, initially it wasn't going to be a qualifier because that was kind of like we're always a qualifier. That was kind of our like thing. Like, man, let's have an event where we're just gonna have a big event, right? So, I talked to
it's gonna be big as is.
Right. So I talked to Zane. At least him and Mango were like the first two people I talked to. I was like, look, you guys want to try to enter this event? Trying to make it big, whatever. And they were about it. So even though people like they're in Summit, right? But they still will probably compete. This is like the one qualifier. Usually we don't have people who qualify into something compete, but this event, since we had planned on it just to be in a big event anyway, see people like Zane, Mango, IBW, enter this event on top of just, people gunning for that spot. And I think this is like cool because this will like set the tone for Summit. What's gonna transpire in Summit, considering this would be like the last event before it. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm just worried because I really just want to make sure everything runs smooth and runs decent. It's like my biggest thing. So, and I just hope people participate and join. Yeah, it would mean the world to me if anybody in here signs up. All to sign up, all you gotta do is just be subscribed, and that's it. And every event is free entry. We got prize pools coming up. Trying to talk to a lot of different sponsors and stuff like that. They're talking a little bit with Gold Guardians. Y'all are just doing a lot for the scene. So they reached out and. It's cool too to see because I was like thinking with me being sponsored, I didn't know how like orgs work. I didn't know if people were like, oh, if it was like a Pepsi Coke type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're sponsored with this place, so you can't talk to them, But at least with Golden Guardians, it's not like that at all, man.
Yeah,
like, they like as long as that's kind of how I am in general. I mean, y'all know me. Like, is the main premise behind all this is to try to help the scene as far as not just even just viewership and stuff like that. But I think what's more important is the experience because I really want people to have a good experience. Even though it's like online. I mean, and we've ran offline. I've done a bunch of offline tournaments too, but I think having an online event you know, I just want people to enjoy their time because you know they are taking their time to do this. So
right.
regardless what happens, I just want it to be punctual and run smooth, and you know, everybody just enjoy themselves. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be
It should
dope.
be fun.
Very, very, very much looking forward to it. Very, very much looking forward to it. I might try to play in it. I don't know.
I mean, that'd be dope, man. You know, more than merry. You guys play, commentate, whatever, man. Just even you just in Twitch chat, I don't care. Just any type of
I'll be in Twitch chat too, for sure.
Any type of just support, man. We appreciate it. I mean, I don't know if you guys got any questions regarding the event. I'm willing to answer anything. But yeah, we just hopefully we can make. It's not a lot of us. We got a small team. It's just me, Jade, Shiggles, Violence, Nate the Sandwich, and my boy Walk. It's like a lot of. It's like 3 to 5 of us that just do a bunch of stuff. So it's not like we got a whole staff or nothing. But we try to make it work. We try.
I'd say you guys have been putting on some great events. I'm looking forward to it for sure. Everybody go check that out. Rollback Rumble, the big one. Again, what you said July, right? July 3rd through 11th?
Yeah, so July 3rd. We're not gonna have anything on the 4th. Obviously, it's 4th of July. And then the 5th, you'll see like the crew battle start up. So
nice.
It'll be stuff like that. But the 3rd will be, you know, crew or Smash Sister crews, doubles, like Wolf double or Wolf singles, volleyball doubles, and then throughout the week you'll see like it start to get more intense, like crews, doubles, singles.
Doubles, singles, yeah.
If you want to enter singles, it's just the last 3 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And yeah.
Is there a Smash GG page?
Yeah. So if you type Smash GG, smash.gg/RRTBO, should pop up. For Asia, we had to make a different Smash GG page. So you got RRTBO Asia if you want to enter the bracket for the Asia Rollback Rumble. And then but yeah, NA and EU just enter our smash.gg/RRTBO. It should pop up.
Got it. You guys, everyone watching the YouTube video, make sure you go do that ASAP. I know how smashes are. You guys always want to register for things as late as possible. Go do it now. RRTBO. Open up a tab. It's going to take 5 seconds. It's not going to take.
Actually, it's actually 5 seconds, and then all you got to do is sub, and if you already subbed, then everything else free, man. Just enter what you want.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Brandon, for for being on, rather.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you, man. I mean, it's just honestly awesome to have such a pillar of the community on. I'm glad we get to plug your event. I hope people check it out. It's going to be a fun time. So yeah, great to have you share your time and experience with us.
Yeah, likewise. Shout outs to you guys both, legends, obviously, pillars yourselves. And shout outs to, Golden Guardians for just, supporting the scene in like every way. Really appreciate that. And, as a Warrior fan, I'm rooting for the Warriors, baby. We got that play in, you know what I'm saying? We almost threw yesterday. We almost threw that game.
We kept it interesting.
Dude, I didn't
Clarkson was kind of going off. I'm not going to lie. He was going off.
Okay. Are we going to make the playoffs? It's like between the Warriors and
So it's a play-in where the 7th through 10th seeds have to play in like a single elimination bracket to get in. And
so we're like it's like that time with Kalindi and Dewan and Dreffin.
Yeah. Exactly. Except if you're the 7th and 8th seed though, you get 2 chances. So you get double elimination.
Oh, nice.
Right? But we're the 8th seed, so that means we'd have 2 chances. But if you're 9th and 10th, you lose once, you're out.
I will say it's been funny because I've been getting way more. I'd say a couple years ago, I was watching a fair bit of basketball, and I got way more into it after getting on Golden Guardians because I'm like,
for sure.
Now I have a real, you know what I mean?
And it's your local team too, right? Like,
right. You know, so and it's funny, like, because we did the thing where me, Zane, and Nunn got to watch the God, that is which game was that actually? Was it the what's the team with Giannis and
you guys watched versus the Bucks?
Versus the Bucks. Yeah. That game was fucking crazy, man. That shit was 129 to 128. Steph Curry shot like 41 points, I think it was.
Oh my.
And I realized watching the Warriors this season, I was like, man, Steph Curry really is like that good.
Yeah, he's like low key MVP. He probably won't get MVP because it's been because the NBA does records off MVP a lot of time, but like, man, dude shot like more threes in like one game than like certain people's careers. Like, it's like ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't really, you want to feel like on a team game you can't carry a team. I know carry is a strong word. You can't be that much of a fucking standout.
I mean, you know, hey, I'm not gonna hold you. He my man, he got the he's without Curry, bro. I don't know, man. It's you know, like maybe Wiggins on a good day, Draymond on a good day, but Steph just it's MVP numbers, bro. He's like averaging like, I think last month he averaged like 38 points a game or something crazy. Like, what the? It's ridiculous. Like, but yeah, it's cool to see that Gold Guardians. You know.
Yeah, I'm still hoping COVID's over, man. I'm hoping we get to do something with them. That'd be fucking.
Oh yeah, man. Go to the Chase. I've never been to the Chase Center. Still, I'm not.
Like 10 minutes from it. That's the crazy part. I'm so close to it. When I drove over, I was in the Google Maps. I was like, damn, I'm really 10 minutes away.
Yeah, you know, no lie, my heart is forever Oracle. You know,
sure. Yeah, that's fair.
Oakland resident, you know what I'm saying? I spent countless nights there, but yeah, you know, the Chase Center looks crazy, so I want to see it.
It is very nice. Right. Just walking around, the street names are all like One Warrior's Way and shit.
Oh,
you know,
that's sick, dude. Cool. Yo, they got the street. PP, you got to go out there, man.
Yeah, man, that'd be fun.
I can't wait for the first offline, the first real offline, because they did it when Zane got picked up last year. There was an offline where Zane was in SoCal with all the Warriors guys. I hope we get to do something like that after COVID. Really, yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I think that's going to be about it for this week's episode. And again, every Tuesday, 3 p.m. If you're watching on YouTube and you're like, damn, I want to ask some questions, well, you can. You come by twitch.tv/StoveBBQ, twitch.tv/PPMD. Get in the Discord. You're going to get to ask your questions. You're going to get to talk to us live on air.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And fun episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Bring your heaters next week. Let us know how he did in the comments. And hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, guys.
Love you guys.